Many old people get tired of long conversations, not because they do not care, not because they do not enjoy talking. There is something deeper happening inside the mind and body. As people grow older, the brain starts using energy more carefully. Conversations may look simple from the outside, but they require a lot of mental effort. Listening, understanding, processing words, responding at the right time, following the topic. All of this happens together, and for an older brain, this can feel heavy after some time. So when a conversation becomes long, the mind slowly starts to feel tired. Not bored, tired. There is a difference. A young person may lose interest and look at their phone, but an old person may stay quiet instead. They may nod, they may give short answers, not because they do not want to talk, but because their mind is asking for rest. There is also something about speed. Conversations today move fast. People change topics quickly. They speak with energy. Sometimes they speak over each other. For an older person, this pace can feel overwhelming. Their brain prefers a slower rhythm, a calm exchange, time to think, time to respond. But when the conversation does not slow down, the mind starts to withdraw, quietly, without making it obvious. There is also hearing. Even when hearing is not completely lost, it becomes less sharp. Background noise becomes harder to filter. Words may not sound as clear, so the brain has to work harder just to understand what is being said. This effort builds up, minute by minute, and after some time it becomes exhausting. Imagine trying to listen carefully to every word without missing anything for a long time. Anyone would feel tired. This is what many old people experience, but they rarely say it. Instead, they simply become quieter. There is also memory. Short-term memory becomes slower. Keeping track of long conversations becomes difficult, especially when many details are involved. Names, events, small points. If the conversation keeps moving, the mind struggles to hold everything together. And this creates pressure, a quiet kind of stress, because they do not want to lose track. They do not want to feel confused. So instead of continuing, they slowly step back. They listen less. They speak less. Not because they are uninterested, but because they are protecting themselves from that pressure. There is also emotional energy. Talking is not just about words. It is also about feelings, understanding tone, responding with care, reacting to emotions. This takes energy too. And in old age, emotional energy becomes limited. Long conversations can drain that energy, especially if the topic is heavy or if the conversation feels one-sided. So the mind looks for balance. Shorter conversations, more pauses, more silence, because silence is not empty for them. It is restful. It gives space to breathe, to think, to feel without pressure. Many younger people feel uncomfortable with silence. They try to fill it quickly, but old people often feel comfortable in it because silence does not demand anything. It allows the mind to settle. There is also something about repetition. Many long conversations repeat the same ideas, the same complaints, the same explanations. For an older mind, this can feel unnecessary. They have already heard it. They have already understood it. So continuing the same discussion feels tiring, not because it is wrong, but because it does not add anything new. And when something does not add value, the mind loses energy for it. There is also a deeper emotional layer. Old people often become more sensitive to how conversations feel, not just what is said, but how it is said. If a conversation feels rushed, forced, or too intense, they feel it quickly. And instead of pushing through, they step back, because they have learned something over time. Not every conversation is worth the energy. This is not rudeness. This is awareness, a quiet wisdom. They start choosing where to spend their attention, where to spend their energy, and where to stay silent. Silence becomes a choice, not a limitation. There is also physical fatigue, sitting for a long time, keeping posture, maintaining focus. Even small things like this can add up. So after some time, the body also asks for rest, and the mind follows. Have you noticed how some old people suddenly say, "Okay, enough talking"? It may sound simple, but behind it there is a full system signaling fatigue. mental, emotional, physical, all together. There is also the feeling of being left behind. In long conversations, especially with younger people, topics may shift to things they are less familiar with. New trends, new technology, new ideas. This can create distance. They may not fully relate, and trying to stay engaged can feel tiring. So instead of forcing it, they step back, they listen quietly, or they disengage, not because they do not care, but because the connection feels weaker. There is also something important. Old people value meaningful conversation more than long conversation. They prefer depth over length, a few sincere words, a calm exchange, a moment of real understanding. This gives them more satisfaction than long, scattered talk. So when a conversation stretches without depth, it starts to feel empty, and emptiness feels tiring, not fulfilling. They do not want more words, they want better words. There is also protection of peace. As people age, they become more protective of their inner calm. They do not want unnecessary noise, unnecessary arguments, unnecessary tension. Long conversations can sometimes lead to all of this, so they limit it. They step away before it becomes too much. This is not avoidance. This is self-care, a quiet kind of self-care. And maybe the most important reason is this. They have already spoken a lot in their life. They have explained, argued, shared, taught, listened. Now, they do not feel the same need to keep talking. They feel more comfortable in observation, in presence, in quiet understanding. Words become fewer, but meaning becomes deeper. So when a conversation becomes long, the mind gently says, "This is enough," and they follow that feeling, not loudly, not suddenly, but slowly, by becoming quiet, by stepping back, by choosing rest over continuation. And in that choice, there is wisdom, there is self-understanding, and there is a quiet respect for their own limits. Limits that are not weakness, but a natural part of aging, a part that deserves to be understood, not misunderstood. And when they quietly step back, many people misunderstand it. They think maybe they are not interested, or maybe they are upset, but most of the time, it is none of that. It is simply the mind asking for a pause, a soft pause, not a complete stop, just a moment to breathe. Old people rarely say, "I am mentally tired." They do not explain it in those words. Instead, they show it through behavior. They look away. They give shorter replies. They nod more than they speak. These are not signs of disconnection. They are signs of reaching a limit, a natural limit. There is also something about how the brain filters information. In younger years, the brain can handle noise better. Multiple voices, background sounds, fast speech. But in old age, this filter becomes weaker. Everything comes in at once, and the brain has to sort it out manually. This takes effort, continuous effort. So in a long conversation, especially in a noisy place, this effort becomes exhausting. After some time, the mind just wants quiet. Not because silence is better, but because silence is easier. There is also the fear of saying the wrong thing. This is a very quiet fear, often hidden. As memory slows down, confidence in speaking can also change. They may worry, did I say that correctly? Am I repeating myself? Did I miss something? These small doubts create pressure. And when the conversation is long, this pressure grows. So they speak less, not because they have nothing to say, but because they want to avoid that discomfort. Silence feels safer than making a mistake. There is also emotional sensitivity. As people age, they become more aware of tone, a small change in voice, a slight impatience, a quick interruption. These things are felt deeply, even if they are not meant in a negative way. In a long conversation, these small moments can add up. And slowly, the person starts to feel drained, not because of the topic, but because of how the interaction feels. So they withdraw to protect their emotional balance. There is also something about respect. Old people value being heard, not just listened to, heard. When conversations become long, sometimes younger people dominate the talk. They speak more, they interrupt without realizing. They move quickly from one idea to another. and the older person may feel like there is no space for them. So instead of competing, they step back. Quietly, they choose peace over struggle. But inside, there can be a small feeling. I am not needed in this conversation. And that feeling can be heavy, even if it is never spoken. There is also the role of physical signals. The body gives signs of tiredness. Eyes feel heavy, shoulders tighten, breathing changes. These signals are stronger in old age, and they are harder to ignore. So when the body says, enough, the mind listens, even if the conversation is still going. This is why they may suddenly say, let's talk later. It is not rejection, it is response to the body. There is also a shift in priorities. Long conversations often include small talk, details that do not feel important, repetition of everyday things. But old people often move away from this. They become more selective. They want conversations that feel meaningful, simple, honest, direct. So when a conversation becomes long without depth, it starts to feel tiring, not because of the length alone, but because of the lack of meaning. They do not want more words. They want real connection, even if it is brief. There is also a quiet appreciation for silence. Silence is not empty for them. It is full of thoughts, memories, feelings, understanding. They do not feel the need to fill every moment with words. They are comfortable sitting together without speaking. But many younger people do not understand this. They feel silence is awkward, so they keep talking. And this constant flow of words can feel overwhelming because it does not allow space. Space to think, space to feel, space to simply be. There is also something about life experience. After many years, people have heard many conversations, similar stories, similar arguments, similar advice. So when a conversation starts to repeat familiar patterns, the mind recognizes it quickly, and interest fades, energy drops, because it feels like going in circles, not moving forward, and the mind does not want to spend energy on circles anymore. There is also a quiet form of self-protection. Long conversations can sometimes lead to disagreement, to tension, to emotional discomfort. Old people often avoid this, not because they cannot handle it, but because they do not want unnecessary disturbance. They prefer calm, so they step away before things become intense. They choose distance over conflict, peace over proving a point. And this choice is not weakness, it is maturity. There is also something very simple, yet very real. They just get tired faster, not only in talking, in everything, walking, listening, thinking, all of it. So expecting them to stay fully engaged in long conversations is like expecting a tired body to keep running. It is not realistic, and it is not fair. They need breaks, they need pauses, they need shorter exchanges. And when they get that, they actually enjoy conversations more, because they can stay present, without feeling drained. And maybe the most important thing to understand is this. When an old person becomes quiet in a long conversation, it is not the end of connection. It is a shift in how connection happens, from words to presence, from talking to simply being there, sitting together, sharing space, without pressure, without expectation. And in that quiet presence, something very meaningful still exists. Understanding, respect, connection, just in a softer form, a slower form, a form that does not need many words to be real. And when connection becomes softer like this, it starts to look different from what most people expect. You may not hear long sentences, you may not see active discussion, but something is still happening, something quiet, but real. Old people often connect through presence more than words. Sitting nearby, listening without replying much, being part of the moment without leading it. This is their way of staying connected without exhausting themselves. But if someone does not understand this, they may misread it. They may think they are distant now. They don't enjoy talking anymore. But the truth is, they are simply changing how they engage. There is also a deeper emotional shift that comes with age. Over time, people start to realize that not every thought needs to be spoken. Not every opinion needs to be shared. Not every conversation needs to be long. They begin to filter more, not because they have less to say, but because they have learned what truly matters. So they speak when it feels meaningful, and they stay quiet when it does not. This is not withdrawal. This is refinement, a kind of inner clarity. There's also something about emotional peace. Long conversations can sometimes pull people into unnecessary emotions, old disagreements, different views, small tensions. And old people often feel these things more deeply. Even small stress can disturb their calm, so they become careful. They do not want to be pulled into something that will leave them restless later. They want to protect their peace, even if it means stepping back early. There is also the weight of unspoken thoughts. Sometimes during long conversations, old people remember things, past moments, old relationships, things they cannot easily put into words. And while others continue talking, they may be processing something inside, quietly, deeply, and this inner processing takes energy. So even if they are silent on the outside, a lot is happening within. And that inner activity can be just as tiring as speaking. There is also the feeling of, I have already said enough in my life. After many years, people have shared their stories, their advice, their opinions. They have explained themselves many times. So now, there is less urgency to keep talking. They do not feel the need to fill every space with words. They are okay letting things pass without comment. And this can look like disinterest, but it is actually acceptance, a calm acceptance. There is also a quiet desire for simplicity. Long conversations often become complex. Many ideas, many directions, many emotions. But old people often move towards simple interactions. A few words, a clear feeling, a calm exchange, because simplicity feels lighter, easier to hold, easier to enjoy. There is also something important about energy recovery. After a long conversation, an older person may need time alone, time in silence, time without stimulation, to recover, to return to balance. This recovery time is not always visible, but it is necessary. Without it, they may feel drained for hours, so their mind learns to limit conversations before reaching that point. It is a kind of self-regulation, a quiet system of protection. There is also the role of respect from others. When someone notices their silence and allows it, without forcing them to speak, without saying, "Why are you so quiet?" It creates comfort. It tells them, "You are okay as you are." But when silence is questioned again and again, it creates pressure. Pressure to perform, pressure to respond. And that pressure makes conversations even more tiring. So understanding their silence is a form of respect, a very important one. There is also something about timing. Old people may prefer shorter conversations, but more meaningful ones. At the right time, in the right mood, with the right person, they enjoy connection, but in smaller, deeper doses. Not long, stretched interactions that drain them. So it is not about avoiding conversation. It is about choosing the right kind and the right amount. There is also a quiet truth that many do not see. Sometimes, when an old person becomes quiet, they are still listening very carefully. They hear everything. They understand more than they show, but they choose not to respond to every point because they do not feel the need to react. They have moved beyond that. They observe more. They react less. And this observation is not empty. It is full of understanding, full of awareness, just expressed differently. And maybe this is what makes it hard for others to understand. Because modern conversation is built on constant response, quick replies, continuous exchange. But old people slowly move away from that rhythm. They move toward stillness, toward pauses, toward fewer words with more meaning. And if you sit with them in that rhythm, without trying to speed it up, without trying to fill every silence, you begin to notice something. Their presence feels calm, grounded, real, not rushed, not scattered, just steady. And in that steadiness, there is a different kind of connection, one that does not need long conversations to exist, one that can live in short sentences, in quiet moments, in shared silence. And when you understand this, you stop asking, why do they get tired of talking? And you start seeing something else. They are not avoiding conversation. They are protecting their energy. They are choosing peace. They are shaping their world in a way that feels right for them. And in that choice, there is wisdom, there is self-respect, and there is a quiet understanding of life that only comes with time. And when you begin to truly see this, something changes in how you respond to them. You stop pushing for longer talks. You stop filling every silence. You start adjusting your rhythm to theirs, and something very gentle begins to happen. They open up more, not all at once, not in long speeches, but in small, meaningful pieces. A short sentence, a quiet story, a simple memory. And these small moments often carry more depth than long conversations ever could, because they come without pressure, without force, just naturally. There is also something very important about feeling safe in conversation. Old people open up when they feel they are not being rushed, not being tested, not being expected to perform. When they feel that they can speak slowly, pause when they need to, repeat something without being corrected, they relax. And when they relax, they connect more. But if the environment feels fast or demanding, they close, quietly, not out of anger, but out of protection. There is also a quiet dignity in how they choose silence. They do not interrupt. They do not compete for attention. They do not try to dominate the conversation. They step back. And sometimes, that step back is misunderstood as weakness. But in reality, it is control. Control over their energy, control over their emotions, control over what they choose to engage in. This kind of control is not loud. It is quiet, but it is very strong. There is also something about how they listen. Old people often listen more deeply than they speak. They observe tone. They notice pauses. They feel what is not being said. So even in short conversations, they may understand more than others do in long ones. And because of this, they do not always need many words. A few are enough. There is also a shift from quantity to quality. In younger years, more talking can feel like more connection. But in older age, this changes. Too many words can feel empty. But the right words, even if few, feel full. So they begin to choose carefully what to say, when to say it, and when to remain silent. Because silence for them is not absence. It is presence without noise. There is also something very real about emotional exhaustion. Long conversations, especially repeated ones, can bring up the same emotional responses again and again, explaining the same thing, hearing the same concerns, responding to the same patterns. Over time, this becomes tiring, not because they do not care, but because they have already given that emotional energy before, many times. So now, they conserve it, they protect it, they use it where it feels truly needed. There is also a quiet understanding of time. Old people become more aware of how they spend their time. They do not want to spend long periods in conversations that feel draining. They prefer moments that feel peaceful, balanced, light. So they shorten conversations naturally, not to avoid people, but to stay aligned with what feels right inside. There is also the role of acceptance. They accept that they cannot engage the same way as before. And instead of fighting that change, they adjust. They create a new way of connecting, one that suits their current state. This acceptance is not defeat, it is wisdom, because they are not trying to be who they were. They are living as who they are now. There is also something very subtle but very important. Sometimes old people are waiting for the conversation to slow down, waiting for a moment of calm, waiting for a space where they can enter naturally. But if that space never comes, they remain silent, not because they have nothing to say, but because the moment never felt right. And this is why creating space matters. A pause, a gentle silence, a slower pace. These small changes can invite them back into the conversation in a way that feels comfortable. There is also something about feeling valued when someone listens patiently, when someone does not rush them, when someone respects their pace. It sends a message: you matter. And when they feel that, their energy changes. They may still prefer shorter conversations, But those conversations become warmer, more open, more real. There is also the beauty of shared quiet moments, sitting together, without talking much, but feeling connected. This kind of connection is often overlooked, but for many old people, it is enough, more than enough, because it does not take energy, it gives it. And maybe this is the most important thing to understand. Old people do not get tired of connection. They get tired of effort, of speed, of pressure, of noise. But when connection feels easy, slow, respectful, they do not pull away. They stay in their own way, at their own pace. And in that space, something very meaningful still exists. A connection that does not depend on long conversations. A connection that lives in understanding, in patience, in presence. And when you meet them in that space, you do not lose connection. You find a deeper one that is quieter, but often far more real.